When the man loves God with all his heart, the jealousy of God is released in the direction of that man, causing that man to excel in anything he does. In fact, one of the ways God can vet a man and commit not just his power to him but himself is when he discovers that that man loves him. Meanwhile, the love of God is not emotion. This is where a lot of people get it wrong. That you kneel down praying and weeping profusely does not mean you love God. You are being momentarily emotional. When that emotion is over, you will return to status quo. There are ways scriptures define the love of God. In fact, biblical summary of the love of God is obedience. If you study the book of John, Jesus himself was teaching. He said, if you love me, keep my commandment. That means the way I know that you love me is the degree to which you obey and tremble at my word. And so when a spirit is judging a reality, it's important for you to find out what he looks at. Because you are going to be correct based on his parameters, not your own parameter. Your own parameter may be fleshly. It may not be his standard. It is his parameter that defines you. And so you find a man who loves God. That's the man who obeys God, and obeying God is his priority. Do you see why we emphasize certain things? Most times, if you know the truth, you will discover that the least thing you need are impartations. Impartations come to activate dimensions in you that were dormant. But the way you sustain them is by living these realities. But the fundamental consecration for provoking the jealousy of God over your life is to love God with all your heart. Find out any man who is succeeding. He can tell you every block of his life where transformation took place. God said, God said, God. The moment God says and you obey, even if the whole world turns against you, they can't stop you. Obedience is one of the things that makes men become invisible. Because if God swears that he will be with you and he will prosper you, nothing can bring you down, no matter how they try. No demon from Hades can bring you down. But today, people don't obey God enough for God to commit himself to them. And the reason is because obedience have tributaries. And let me show you three tributaries of obedience. When the man begins to walk in law, the one that is powered by obedience, you will discover that there will be 3 rivers flowing in his life. The first is that he will be constrained from iniquity. When a man loves God, the power to avoid iniquity will be imparted into his spirit. And he will walk on that corridor until he will come to the zenith. The zenith of that part is that he will not just be constrained from iniquity, he will hate iniquity. The Bible says, because thou lovest righteousness and hated iniquity, he said, thy God have anointed thee with the oil of gladness. So when you love God, one of the parameters you will see is that you will begin to despise evil. Your spirit will begin to hate iniquity. At first, when the love of God is growing in your heart as you are obeying him, you will discover that you will start avoiding sin. You were smoking before, you don't want to smoke anymore. You were drinking before, you don't want to drink anymore. You were fornicating before, you don't want to fornicate anymore. You will now grow from there. You will come to a point where it's not something you don't want anymore. You no longer have appetite for it. So you grow from a point where you avoid it. You put yourself under subjection. That's what Paul said. He said, I beat my body. I bring it under subjection. So you fight against it. Then you grow to a point where you are not fighting against it anymore. You no longer have appetite for it. The appetite now has been modified because you started mechanically, but when the Holy Ghost saw it, the Holy Ghost now breathed on you. But first of all, you will start resisting it. Hope you know the Bible said, if you have not resisted sin to the point of your blood. So you have to resist it even when it costs you your life. And then as you keep resisting, a point will come, the Holy Ghost will see what you are doing. Then the Holy Ghost will step in. When the Holy Ghost steps in, you will stop resisting. The appetite will die. Meanwhile, you are obeying God, but this is what is happening to you. As you are obeying God, you start fighting sin. As you are obeying God, you come to a point where the appetite for sin dies. And then as you keep obeying God, a point will come, you will hate it. That's where Jesus operated. And he said, because Jesus operated there, he anointed him with the oil of gladness. That oil is what turned him to a philanthropist. And so everything he touches prospers. The reason is because he loved God through obedience.